What's going on, my dudes? Let's get checking in with the second video of 22. By now, we should be hopefully a week into the year. So I hope that this year is going well for you so far and that there haven't been any issues and that everyone that you love is well and all is fair in the world. Sadly, that is not usually the case. But I do want to essentially break away from reality and talk about some things that are a lot more fun. Mariah Carey has been returned to deep freeze until next Christmas. Just because that is the case does not mean that we can't still enjoy ourselves and talk about the things that make us happy and that bring us true joy. So, with that being said, I want to today talk to you all about Hitomi-Chan is Shy with Strangers. I just finished reading the second volume so that I could do this video. This is pretty much going to be a let's talk about, so I'm going to try to keep spoilers to a minimum and not say too much, though I will show panels and whatnot because that's usually what I do when I do these let's talk about videos. I show panels from the series. This is a 7 Seas series. It says it's marketed to 13-year-olds and up, but I legit there's really suggestive things that happen in this that makes me wonder if this is really for a 13-year-old audience. But you know what, it's been a long time since I was 13 years old and I barely remember what I was doing at 13. Still, I think this is a little weird to be marketed to 13-year-olds. Kind of reminds me of Komi Can't Communicate. This girl right here, Hitomi-Chan, is really awkward. She has shark teeth and kind of puts off the people around her and makes them feel weird, or she even scares people to an extent. I personally enjoy this. I enjoyed the hell out of this series. I have the 2 volumes here. I ordered the 3rd volume, and yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. I don't want to talk for too long. I want to get to the point. So, well, you'll see me again after I show you the panels and we talk about the series a little bit. So yeah, see you in the next part. Hitomi-Chan is an ongoing manga series written and drawn by Chorisuke Natsumi and published in English by 7 Seas Entertainment. It follows 2 leads, Hitomi Takano and Usakun, or Usami Yu. Hitomi-Chan is scary to people, terrifyingly so. She has shark teeth and can be pretty intimidating, even scaring the school's toughest girl into submission, a la way of the house husband. Though Hitomi is not mean at all, she isn't rude or unruly. She's actually really sweet, kind, and caring. In other words, don't cliche a dead horse by its cover, or something like that. It is, however, difficult for her to make friends because of her outwardly frigid appearance. Half the time it's just her own nerves or worries that make her look that way. I don't think that there was a single thing about this manga that I didn't enjoy, though admittedly the first volume was a little difficult to get into at first. It picks up much more in volume 2 and expands the story by bringing in various new characters and adding new scenarios. Hitomi is a first year and Usami is a second year, but to look at them side by side you would think the reverse were the case, as Usakun is about 1.5 to 2 feet shorter than Hitomi. She also has the build and height of an adult woman. She is super athletic and has a beautifully toned body. This leads to one of the series' first misunderstandings. Usakun's little sister tells a story about herself and Hitomi-Chan, how she wanted to, and quote, touch them, and Hitomi agrees shyly, thinking the other girl wants to touch her boobs, when what she really meant was Hitomi's abs. And this is a series like Komi Can't Communicate, full of misunderstandings and misreadings. Signals constantly cross, and all is flung into disarray, only not really. All that happens is the characters get all flustered because they assume some innuendo behind closed doors kind of thing was happening, only for that to not be the case at all. It's honestly really innocent so far. Nothing line crossing or over the top has happened. No nudity except for a bathroom scene with the slightest of nip slips, but even that is just barely an outline and nothing more. I highly recommend this series if you like cute rom-com stories. The feels are there for Hitomi and Usakun, but they haven't yet been fully explored, and this is still lingering in the can we hold hands stages, but hasn't even gotten to that point either. It's still in the person I like is looking at me, I'm gonna blush stage, which I think is fine. It works here because despite this being essentially a rom-com, it's not necessarily about that. There are what I like to refer to as mini arcs or vignettes, little spoofs where the characters get together and do random adorable stuff. In one, they go to the water park, and Hitomi sits behind Usakun, her boobs pressing against his back, and he gets an odd, "I think I just became a man" sort of look in his face. That is another selling point. The facial expressions are pretty much always perfect. They emote and convey true joy or dread, and for a series like this one, that is extremely important. Another favorite scene of mine, Hitomi, Usakun, and his little sister are trying to beat a mobile game, so they start doing physical exercise, stretching and jogging. They even formulate strategies on a whiteboard. It's moments like these that really sell the story. The presence that Hitomi herself commands, whether she means to or not, makes it all the better. I genuinely am excited and can't wait for Volume 3 to drop. Yeah, I mean, this just completely... I was not expecting to pick this series up. I haven't really seen anyone at all that I follow talk about it, so I was interested myself in kind of checking it out. It was recommended to me because I'd looked up Gomi Can't Communicate, and through looking up Gomi Can't Communicate, I ended up coming across this series. It was in the recommended for that. I still don't have the first volume of Gomi Can't Communicate, but I'd been watching it on Netflix, and that really piqued my interest, so I decided to check out the manga, and I will probably end up with the manga before the end of the month. So chances are, if you see it in like my month end haul for January, don't be surprised if you see Hitomi-Chan, or what is it, Gomi Can't Communicate, because this totally reminds me of that series a little bit. And I was watching it on Netflix, and I just kind of wanted to show you those shark teeth that she has, that Hitomi-Chan has. And this series really grew on me because this first volume was kind of hard to get into. I was wondering, like, reading it halfway, I was like, do I want to keep reading it? And then I got into the second volume, and I feel like the second volume really opens the world up, and you become more attached to the characters that you meet in the first volume. And what it is, for the most part, I think, is that because of the fact that it's kind of setting up these characters and you're just now meeting them, it takes a while to kind of build up the world with the characters and with everything that's going on. And with her being kind of shy, though she's not nearly as shy as Gomi in Gomi Can't Communicate, where she can literally she can't say a word to anyone without freaking out, where she pretty much she doesn't even really vocalize, she writes on things like Blue's Clues. But that's a really cute series. That's definitely way more suited, I would say, to like 13-year-olds, because of the fact that that isn't nearly as suggestive as this series is. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't read it, because there's no nudity in it, so it's perfectly, I think it's safe, and there's no cursing or anything in it. It's not Gantz or anything like that. You know, it's not Berserk, and so I think it's fine. I just wanted to comment on that. I thought it was kind of random, but that's all. I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and I hope that you enjoyed hanging out with me as much as I enjoyed making this. And I have so much more stuff that I want to do this year. I'm going to be reading this volume that's right here next to me. As soon as I read this third volume of Die Dark, I'm going to jump right into Goodnight Boon Boon, and I'm so excited to finally read Goodnight Boon Boon. I'm going to be reading the whole series straight through, and I'm just like stockpiling all of these videos so that when I'm able to read Goodnight Boon Boon, I'll just read that and won't have to worry about creating content, because I'll have a bunch of stuff just piled up for weeks ahead. So that's it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. My name is Oscar. Until next time, please take care of yourselves.
How you feel when you sippin' on drip in the whip? Haters talking shit, but I stay rolling lit. Stay holding splits, man, I crave popping pills. Sluggish on the drink, bitch, I'm chugging refill.